Bob strapped himself into the pilot's seat of the Venus Voyager Mark IV spaceship. He glanced out the rounded glass window at the bustling spaceport where people scurried around making final preparation for his launch. Bob smiled, thinking back to when he was just a boy dreaming of becoming an interplanetary explorer. Now here he was, about to embark on his greatest mission yet, colonizing Venus. The ship's computer beeped, interrupting Bob's reminiscing. Launch sequence initiated. T-minus 10 minutes to liftoff. Bob grinned. It was time for an adventure. The ship's engines ignited with a roar, propelling the Venus Voyager up through the atmosphere. Bob watched as the spaceport grew smaller and smaller, until it was just a tiny speck swallowed up by the inky blackness of space. He had made this journey many times before, but the thrill of breaking free of Earth's gravity never got old. After 2 uneventful days of travel, Venus loomed large in the window. Bob gripped his seat in excitement as the cloud-shrouded planet drew nearer. He knew that beneath that opaque veil was a world ripe for colonization, if only they could tame its inhospitable environment. Venus was often called Earth's twin because of their similar sizes and orbits. But decades of runaway greenhouse effects had turned Venus into a true inferno, with surface temperatures hot enough to melt lead. The air was a toxic mixture of carbon dioxide and sulfuric acid. Still, Bob saw promise in terraforming Venus. With the right technology, they could re-engineer the climate and build a thriving new home for humanity. The ship pierced the upper atmosphere, and Bob was buffeted by turbulence. He fired the reverse thrusters, slowing the descent through the soupy air. The clouds parted, and Bob got his first glimpse of the Venusian surface. It was a hellish landscape, with rivers of lava and clouds of sulfuric acid, hardly a welcoming sight. But Bob knew that with the right technology and determined colonists, they could turn this into a garden world. Mountains could be leveled, channels carved to direct lava flows, and the air itself chemically altered over time. The possibilities were limitless. The ship settled on a rocky outcropping, near where robotic probes had detected precious metals and minerals. Bob suited up in a protective exosuit and climbed down the ladder onto Venus's harsh surface. The temperature gauge built into his helmet read 462 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead, just as the probes had warned. Bob cautiously walked across the alien terrain, analyzing the soil composition with his handheld sensor. The readings confirmed this spot was rich in resources, an ideal location for a colony. Nickel, iron, magnesium, all essential materials for constructing a self-sustaining settlement. Bob returned to the ship and activated his long-range communications. Venus Base, this is Bob. I've landed safely and scouted a location with abundant natural resources. Preparing the site for construction of climate-controlled biodomes and processing facilities. Over the next few weeks, Bob worked tirelessly on the fledgling colony. Supply ships arrived from Earth regularly, bringing prefabricated structures, robots, and tools. Domed habitats rose from the harsh landscape, along with greenhouses, factories, and research labs. Bob supervised teams of construction bots as they erected the buildings and connected them with reinforced walkways. He took particular pride in designing the layout of the colony to be functional as well as aesthetically pleasing. Just because we're on an alien world doesn't mean we can't build beautiful things, he remarked to the architects back on Earth. Bob also led teams of robots and used drones to map out subterranean cave networks with water ice deposits. These could be mined and melted to provide water for the colony. Filters purified out the sulfuric acid, leaving water clean enough to drink. Once the basic, like food, water, and shelter, were secured, Bob focused on quality of life. He imported seeds from Earth's hardiest plants and worked diligently until they took root in the colony's experimental greenhouses. Nothing lifted colonists' morale like seeing the first flowers bloom under Venus's cloudy orange skies. With the basic infrastructure in place, the first human colonists arrived. Bob welcomed them planetside, proud to give them the grand tour of mankind's first permanent settlement on Venus. "Welcome to Venetia," he proclaimed. As Bob walked the new arrivals through the climate-controlled biodomes full of lush foliage and the sleek buildings with modern living quarters, he saw hope and wonder in their eyes. These colonists were the pioneers who would tame this inhospitable world. Scientists, engineers, botanists, and more, all eager to apply their expertise to the challenges of terraforming. In the following months and years, Venetia grew rapidly. The population swelled as more colonists arrived to pursue their dreams on the new frontier. They built a thriving community on the once barren landscape, showing that humanity could prosper on even the most hostile alien worlds. Schools opened for settlers' children, and new generations were born who knew Venus as their home. Bob was proudest of Venetia University, where scientists and researchers pushed the boundaries of knowledge about Venus. He endowed a scholarship there to fund studies on terraforming techniques. Eager students produced bold proposals, like seeding the atmosphere to stimulate algae growth and reduce carbon dioxide levels, or using billions of tiny solar reflectors in orbit to decrease temperatures. Bob hoped that one day they could cool the planet and transform its atmosphere into something Earth-like. Then they could build vibrant cities on the surface and gaze up at blue skies instead of gloomy clouds. The possibilities were endless. As he strolled through the bustling underground tunnels and doomed walkways of Venetia, Bob knew this was just the beginning. Man would continue to reach out to the stars, colonizing new worlds and seeking knowledge. Bob was ready for his next mission, this time to one of the icy moons of the outer planets. He dreamed of the day when humans would venture even further, to exoplanets around distant suns. The spirit of exploration pulsed through his veins, driving him toward new horizons. There were always more worlds to discover. If you found this video helpful, informative, and/or entertaining, please like, share, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment. Thanks for watching and listening.